What's going on? It's Clark Taylor from Wrestling Republic and Coby Galenzoski, head of reviewing, also from Wrestling Republic. And this is the debut episode of Clark and Coby's Republic Ramble. You got two reviewers who literally, as their job, view professional wrestling and rate it for a living. This week, we're going to go ahead and give you guys our insight on all things SummerSlam weekend. So let me toss it to my good buddy and esteemed colleague, head of reviewing for good old Wrestling Republic, Coby Galenzoski.
What is going on, guys? So this is the SummerSlam Weekend Ramble, as we like to call it. And we started off SummerSlam on Saturday, not Sunday, with the Raw Women's Championship in Bianca Belair versus Becky Lynch in what was another instant classic between the two of them.
I was just not to jump the ship there, but I wanted to say, like, argument to be made, match of the night. Now we'll get to the main event later, but early in the show, right, there was an argument to be made. They put on for the city, you know, as our good friend Young Jeezy said back in the day. But anyway, no. Let's get to Coby. What do we got? What did you have as far as rating, or you, both of us? And sorry, you go.
That's fine. So as a team at Wrestling Republic, we did give that match a 7.5 out of 5 stars. So I think this was the whole. I guess this is where the discrepancy is I probably would have had the WrestleMania match at a 5-star, simply because I think it was that a little better than this one, because the atmosphere was a lot more iconic, or a lot more,
to be totally
louder.
I find that interesting. I thought the crowd was hotter at Mania for sure. But I actually, I personally preferred this match. But I do find, did you have besides the crowd, did you see a spot where you thought maybe like they really outdid themselves at Mania in a way that they didn't at Slam?
So 2 spots did stand out, and I think there was the braid pull into the manhandle slam, which was really good, very closer to the end.
Absolutely. I hear you there.
And then there was the Spanish Fly from Bianca Belair.
No doubt. Okay, wait. What was the rating back then, though? I know we got a document. I don't want you to have to look it up if you don't have it off the top of your head. But where did we have the Mania encounter?
Well, see, that's the thing, is I wasn't the pay-per-view reviewer at the time, so if I'm going off of memory, I think it was 4.75.
And just to give credit where it's due, I believe that was John Sorrenzio. So, like, at the time, just but like, let's, for the sake of the convo, let's just guess. What did you think you had it?
Well, I think it was 4.75.
Okay, so we called it a tie, essentially.
I think, I mean, for the reviewers, we did
for sure,
because I think I would have had that as a 5-star as well as Cody Rollins 1.
Okay.
Because we did put Cody Rollins 1 as the second ever 5-star since this new system took over that I myself and Ben Allison have created.
So to be totally honest, and I don't want to expose myself, I promise I'm a very thorough reviewer, but I can't remember exactly which quarter star we docked on Slam. So off the top of your head, do you remember where we did knock that one?
I don't know. I didn't make note of. I know Allison did. I think it might have been the atmosphere.
Did we dock atmosphere, or did we dock fundamentals? Did we dock not fundamentals?
No, I think
that one. That was as clean as it looks.
Fundamentals, innovative, structure, and psychology. I'm pretty sure we're all at 1. So I'm pretty sure it was atmosphere that got docked, and that's simply just like comparative towards the WrestleMania. The WrestleMania crowd was much hotter for both entrances. This one really did not. I don't want to say they didn't care, but they won them through during the opening contest. And I do think we got to give a lot of props to at the time we didn't know, but the now injured Becky Lynch.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Separated shoulders. She put on a heck of a performance for somebody that was nursing a bad wing, as we like to say. You know, I was gonna not to totally pivot, but I was going to ask you, what did you think about the general atmosphere? Did you think it was the hottest stadium crowd that we've seen in WWE, or did you?
I think the atmosphere was really good, but I think it does technically take the backseat to what was done at WrestleMania.
Yeah,
because the WrestleMania crowd was off the charts.
Definitely. I thought it was interesting. I thought that WrestleMania crowd was kind of hot throughout. I feel like this one ebbed and flowed. I felt like at points, like during the big, obvious main event spot, we'll get to that later with the tractor. I mean, I thought that was as loud as the Mania crowd, but there was never a time the Mania crowd was quite as quiet as this one was during certain parts of the show. And that's not to knock anybody performance-wise, but like, I mean, don't get me wrong, like even the we'll get to it later too, but like the Logan Paul match, they were scorching for that, but then you get the ebb, the flow, and it quiet down a little bit. I
don't know if that like is just the contributing of the dynamic, because you can consider that WrestleMania is viewed as the grandest stage of them all, the biggest event of the year.
I also wonder if it's roofed or open air stadium. Not to cut you off there too, Coby, but right, not just the main events, but right.
Was Mania's
is down, Cowboy Stadium's closed. So I wonder if that was a major contributing.
That could be
right.
Yeah.
Just to the.
I mean
noise.
that end could be the size, because I think they had what.
Yeah, no,
70,000 people.
Well, I actually believe it was like we could look this up, but I believe it was 71 for Mania, or 79 maybe for Mania, and then it was in the 50s for SummerSlam, if I'm not mistaken.
No, I don't remember. It's either like high 60s or 70s for Mania, but I think it was no more than 50 for SummerSlam.
Definitely.
Which they could have sold the same amount, but there was a significant. There's a significant, according to the IWC marks.
Well, I mean, still
to say they can't sell out the stadium.
Also, I do know Cowboy Stadium
did sell.
Cowboy Stadium is upwards of 100 at capacity, and then yes. I think it is only in the 70s in Nashville.
Yes, I did
at like full.
I did look it up that night, and I think it was like roughly, if not a little more than 2/3 of what was done.
Yeah, and you're never gonna go to max capacity though to Mania, given the stage. It's not feasible. So like that's
right.
Not
given the stage, right?
Yeah. Okay, so I mean, match one again. I think we're both in agreement. I had 475, no problem with. I totally get you going with 5-0. I probably wouldn't have batted an eye. I might have been like, "Are you sure?" But like, I thought on both matches, right? We're splitting hairs there with the quarter star on that final one. But I do think we sufficiently covered that first match. What we got for match two, Coby? You want to give it to us?
Wow, of course, I'd love to. The next match was, of course, our YouTube sensation, Mr. Logan Paul, facing the A-lister, The Miz, with his lovely wife, Maurice, as well as Tommaso Ciampa.
Yeah, absolutely. And not only that, it was more shenanigans than just that, wasn't it? Because we got a little, we got more than just those two. I mean, what did we have for the star rating there?
So yeah, as I guess the watch party or just the people doing the reviews at the time, we did say that was a 4-star match, and I think overall the match did evolve to that. Like, I think the only thing us as a group kind of was like iffy on was Logan Paul's, I guess, punches, or his lefts and rights, if you want to call them. But overall, everything that he did really good. So everything that The Miz did look really good. Like, the atmosphere grew. Like, the crowd really started, like, once again with the opening contest, they started off not really caring about the match. But then
they dove in about a quarter of the way into that first one, right? Yeah, I mean, that was like, I agreed with you on that. Not that I wouldn't go as far as saying that they weren't into it as much as, like, sometimes when you get that everybody settling into their seats, right? You're like, did I spill popcorn on you? You know, you're putting your stuff in the cup holder. You always have that like awkward shuffle, and I think that's why they call it the curtain jerker, obviously, right? Like in the opener. And They definitely did that, but again, like I do agree with you on it. Took them a few minutes to capture him, but I think that had less to do with the like booking of the match pre-match or anything like that, as much as it did like it's a big event, everybody's still settling in and shuffling into their big seats or their seats, and like then once it got off the ground, it was what you expected of it. But that's not to take away from the fact that the crowd was locked in throughout the second match, right? Like I totally think that it wasn't just the fact that it was Logan Paul that made it so hot. It was, I mean, The Miz deserves so much credit, man. He can work with anybody, by the way. Like we've given a lot of people a lot of props for working with a lot of celebrities. Like we're talking about a guy that made Bad Bunny and The Miz look great. I mean Bad Bunny and Logan Paul look great. Yeah, sorry. I meant YouTube Miz, Logan Paul.
Yeah.
He made them both look great. And not only like multiple times he did. And, it's funny, like I've had like a few wrestling conversations with fans and friends and colleagues, about best celebrity appearances. But in the last 2 years, I've had a heck of a lot more than I did before that. And it's interesting to me that we get this. Well, it's Bad Bunny. Well, it's Logan Paul. Are we not giving The Miz enough credit? Cope, right?
I mean, at the same time, the conversation is the best celebrity. We're not saying which celebrity looked the best and who made them look the best. Like, you can consider
right.
Austin Theory made Pat McAfee look like $1 million at WrestleMania, and he did.
Yeah, absolutely.
Adam Cole,
Corbin did too, by the way, and Cole, yeah.
Corbin in a way, yeah. Even that, yeah. The Cole stuff in NXT, like
it made him look like $1 billion.
Exactly, McAfee looked like he could hang there as a full-time wrestler.
Now, and that's where I think though I don't necessarily mean it so much as like to take away from the celebrities, but just it's funny that we haven't seen that connection made of like the two you bring up pretty quickly outside of McAfee. Now that it's happened, it's been 3 days, right? Both worked The Miz. And especially
John Morrison for
and Morrison, yes, Morrison deserves credit for that too. By the way, I'm not taking away from Johnny, whichever company you want to stick on the end of that. I'm a huge Morrison fan, so believe me, I'm not trying to take away. Like he played a role in that as well, and even Damian Priest carrying his side along in the tag match right at last year's Mania, it deserves a shout out in that convo too. I just found it, until like literally today. We did some prep for the show, guys, but like. Until literally about an hour ago, I didn't put it together in my head that Bad Bunny and Logan Paul both worked The Miz in a year. And I mean, you can't ask for much more as far as like fan reaction to a celebrity appearance in the ring than you got out of those two. And so, yeah, I guess not to super put over The Miz. I'm not like a diehard Miz fan, but I do think he deserves some for sure. Like he's done a heck of a job,
without a doubt.
Especially,
and I think a funny thing is we saw last year on a Miz TV, or it wasn't a Moist TV, or it wasn't Miz TV, it was Moist TV.
It was Moist TV
when John Morrison was still there. John Morrison had the invite of Logan Paul,
right?
And I think it was at the point it was just a genius that the Miz was almost able to get that face turn in a way by talking bad about both of them and Logan Paul, and he really got the crowd behind him.
And I think that
is different and interesting that they aligned 4 or 5 months later, as well as the turn with Miz being the actual heel.
And I think that's where like to your point, like that's the brilliance of The Miz there is like, I mean, Logan Paul there's articles about Logan Paul being the most hated person on the internet, and to turn him into a babyface is pretty darn impressive. I mean, at the same time too, I think another part of it is not just the celebrity influence, but the fact that you're working with a person that you can't be sure they can keep you as safe as you can keep them without the experience. And that's impressive. But I was also going to say there is something to be said for the Logan Paul Miz connection about the fact that they're both Clevelanders. You know, they are both from Cleveland. They have that connection. I wonder how much of a role he played in that, even with the initial Morrison storyline playing out the way that it did. You know?
Yeah. Well, I mean, even then, you had Logan Paul's first official appearance at last year's WrestleMania, basically cornering fellow conspiracist Sami Zayn.
Well, it appeared they were going to do a Zayn and him rivalry, and they I don't want to say they ditched it, but like, right? We haven't seen any Logan and Zayn stuff.
Well, I mean, they might have, but I mean, Kevin did kind of he did stunner him at the Mania.
Right.
So unless they were going in the direction of Logan and Jake Paul versus Kevin Sammy, maybe. But and I do think I want to go back to what you did say is the safest. I think Miz is one of those names that does kind of like skate underneath, as the Miz and Randy Orton are both probably the safest guys there.
I mean, he can keep himself healthy as well as anybody, and I know that he's actually gotten heat from them on the internet, but I don't see that. I mean, that he took some spots in that match and matches beyond that. He's a pro's pro. There's no doubt about it, to me, at least. I hope that's controversial.
No doubt.
I don't know how the comments section works yet, but like, please feel free to hate on me. I love it. Let me know. I love it.
And I do think, I guess to continue on this conversation, because I did remember one thing, is I can't remember who exactly reported it, but Logan Paul kind of made a statement that he's not kind of here to be a heel or face. He's here to be that entertainer, that person who gives off a good and entertaining performance. And I just kind of wanted your thoughts on that.
Okay, to be honest, this is going to be total speculation, but I'm just like fascinated by the psychology of Logan Paul as a whole. Like, I mean, come on, in 2018, he was like voted the most hated guy in America, literally, like actually. And I actually have empathy for him on that. Like, that would be a crappy situation for anybody. And I think he's handled it actually really well. As also a boxing fan, as you know, Coby, but the audience probably doesn't. I'm a much bigger Logan than I am a Jake fan. I see a lot of, not that I think Jake's doing his job too. But like Logan, I see a lot of genuine and the potential desire to be a babyface. I could get that. I could see that. And, given his background, even, right? Like, come on, man. I just want to be a babyface. I want to hear a pop, right? And what better forum than to do it in pro wrestling? And to me, it's not just the statement about right, because I know I've gone way around the corner here to answer your question, but the statement where he says, I'm just here to be an entertainer. I believe that's his goal, period. He wants to be an entertainer, the best entertainer. You know, you've heard him say it. I think that it was probably special to him to be a babyface, and that might have contributed to how much effort he put into this match. Because to give 4.0 stars to Logan Paul, I was on the review for that match with you, and I try to stay as unbiased in reviews as possible. But believe me, I didn't want a 4-star Logan Paul. Like, I just said I liked him a few minutes ago, not to contradict myself. I do like him, but I didn't want to 4-star him in a wrestling match. Come on. And so to do that, right? He showed me something at least. But I think the most interesting part of it to me is I think he wanted to be a babyface, and the fact that it got pulled off is even more impressive. Mm-hmm. Right? At least for that moment.
Mm-hmm. I think another kind of point to go off of that whole he thinks he's a babyface or wants to be. Even when he was doing the Miz him and the Miz versus the Mysterios in like February, March, April, mm-hmm. he was still portraying himself as the babyface. He had his water bottle he drank it, and he's giving it to a little kid in the crowd.
100%.
So he's still viewing himself as that babyface.
Yeah, I think that was a desire of his. I think actually, honestly, and this is maybe a theory or whatever, like somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that might be what drew him to wrestling in the first place from a performer standpoint, is the idea that he can actually dictate his own, not no pun intended on the create your narrative stuff, but like dictate his own narrative when it comes to that. And if he performs as a good guy, then he is one, you know? And it's a place where it's, you know, I mean, we've seen baby faces be booed. We've seen heels be cheered. It can happen, right? But it's a little bit different than the YouTube space, the other spaces, right? Where the audience decides if you're a good guy or a bad guy primarily, right? Not necessarily, you're not booked to be that per se, right? And I think that is one of the most, I wonder if that is what drew him in the first place was, hey, here's another chance, because I don't think I've ever been more impressed by a redemption story than his the last 3 years. He's really done a heck of a job. And like, it guts me to say that. I don't like want to give him that compliment, but like, he does seem to come across as a genuinely good dude that, you know, made one pretty bad slip up on a YouTube video but had no desire to be the most hated guy on the internet.
No.
And then he did
I don't think he does. And
yeah.
I think that might be where the difference between him and his brother does exist, is I think Jake kind of welcomes it as he wants to be the scum of the earth. And
problem child. Yeah. I mean,
yeah,
right?
Exactly. I guess to continue on Logan Paul, because I don't know if you have, but there is his story about what happened to him and The Rock.
Oh, so you know that's really interesting. I just read the article this week, and they've reconciled right now. Because I didn't read I saw the headline. Is that filmed?
I don't know if they reconciled yet, but I know like he had that connection with The Rock, and then that Suicide Forest thing did in fact happen. And The Rock,
I mean, that was a horrible mistake, right? That's indefensible.
It was like The Rock's management team basically saying, delete everything. You delete The Rock's number, delete all the pictures you've taken with him, whatever. Basically separated that. And then he said after this year's WrestleMania, The Rock was trying to act like nothing happened.
I mean,
or that wasn't happened, and he basically did the same thing as he just ghosted The Rock. I haven't heard anything as of late. Like that was,
to be completely honest, that
an older story, but I don't know if they have reconciled.
Because, like, given that actually bugs me. Then I don't want to take back a bunch of stuff I said, but like, I thought his self-awareness in the redemption aspect of his story, it was what made him the most endearing to me. But to not understand why The Rock would have that reaction after he put out the Suicide Force video, and it to be 4 years later and you've done all of this, tells me maybe it's not quite.
He did understand why. Like, I'm not saying he didn't. I'm just saying. Like,
then why does he run? Then why run your mouth about it in public if he said that? Oh, I did the same thing The Rock did to me. Like, no, dude, he's your hero. And listen, like, my dad is one of my greatest heroes, right? And when he gets mad at me, I don't ghost him. You know what I mean? Like, it sucks to be condemned by your heroes, but like, that's not how you handle those type of situations. You know what I mean? And so if that is the case, that he did the like, oh yeah, now that I'm back and cool again, and The Rock acted like nothing happened, that's petty and childish. I don't like that.
Well, I did see a video on this on TikTok, and this was him basically saying, he kind of basically said, if you aren't going to kind of be there when I am at my lowest, because like it is an obvious thing that he has had the issues and the mental health issues with,
definitely,
since that Suicide Force video has been public.
Definitely.
And I think like that, I think that's where I can kind of side with him, is like, you tried to distance me when I was in a low point, and it's like now I'm not going to say on top of the world, but now I'm coming back. I'm in the WWE, which you got your start in. You're gonna act like we're buddy again. I think that's like a question.
I think there's definitely a level of professionalism that has to happen there. And I also think, I mean, again, right, we're the fourth party, right? Like we got the third party report on how the initial exchange went down. So like,
well, I guess,
and that's where I'm like,
it did come from his mouth. It was like on one of his podcasts.
No, I know the part that he said. I'm talking about the way that it went down between the Rock's group and him initially is all hearsay, right? We're reading an article about it. And the fact that, to me, like, hey, there's an opportunity for reconciliation, but like you can't do that given their friendship at the time, right? It's like, dude, I can't associate with. And I'm not saying that now, if Logan Paul considered himself close enough with The Rock that he was like a mentor and he goes, I can't associate with you, and then isn't there for him from a support aspect, I get that, right? But Logan Paul, The Rock was his hero, right? And The Rock, Logan Paul is, right? He clearly treated him well enough that they were considered friends during their initial encounters, right? If The Rock goes, look, I can't associate with you publicly because my public image is, number one, a huge part of my brand. Number two, morally, I'm totally against the video you posted. And three, I thought more of you, but we still have the opportunity to reconcile. There's not much more you can ask. And from a professional standpoint, given The Rock's time, it's not like he's not Logan's therapist. And I don't mean that in a negative way or to knock anything like that, but like, I don't think it makes The Rock appear unsupportive in any way. And I don't actually think Logan Paul's a bad person either. I get, it's just a very interesting situation in general, so layered. You know what I mean? Yeah, that's a tough one. That's a really good question too, by the way.
Yeah.
But I was going to say,
we got the time to talk about that one.
Yeah, should we jump along to, we'll jump on that later. Let's jump along to Lashley Theory.
I don't think there's a lot much to say about it, but yeah, that was the next
3-star match.
That was the third match. We did give that a 3-star match.
3-star pseudo squash.
I said this after, or I guess I said this kind of after the fact that, I mean, there was no way I felt this match was longer. Like, I would not have told you that was a 440 something second match after I watched it.
Yeah,
but it did feel kind of just, it felt like that. I don't want to say piss break, but I want to say it was a match that the crowd did not need to care too much about because it was mainly about just Bobby Lashley keeping the title.
So I got the two things I want to ask you about today, like really quick.
Yeah.
One, did you think when the way Theory tapped so quickly when he got cinched up in the Hurt Lock, do you think that was saying, oh, he's saving himself for the main event cash in? Or do you think it was just they had to cut time?
I guess the report is that they cut time from Liv and Ronda, which, I mean, I didn't read too much. I just saw that.
Seemed like they did.
It would, since that was less than 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Which we'll get to that later. I mean, from a storyline and storytelling standpoint, without a doubt, that is what you would assume is, okay, he's in the position of he's not going to be able to escape, so he's just going to quickly tap out, not take more damage, and be ready for the main event.
Right.
Which I went going into the pay-per-view, there was not going to be an official cash-in.
You made that call. By the way, not only did you make that call, I want to give you credit, not to cut you off here, but I want to give you full credit for this, because going in, I was like, I'm going to be so disappointed if they do like a failed cash in. Not that I want Theory to win the title, but just like decided last second, like, okay, wait, he's going to fluke cash in the main event. And all of a sudden now, like, there's no more briefcase. And then the whole Theory thing's over. Like, that to me would have been frustrating.
And it would be in terms of just the Money in the Bank standpoint. And I mean, I think they are going to give him a lot more time with it. He might go to SmackDown to directly go say, hey, Roman, I'm here. And it's
Sort of chase him around a little bit for a while. That would
Exactly.
make sense.
Be that thorn in Roman's boot.
I dig that. I dig that.
But yeah, I think I did not see that coming. And I mean, from a standpoint of your biggest pay-per-view of the year next to WrestleMania is about to happen, because it's the first ever UK pay-per-view in 30 plus
which
years.
is interesting because normally I don't think you would say like obviously it's the first UK pay-per-view in so long, right? But
Right.
like when the Saudi deal went down, like I don't think we looked at those pay-per-views as the biggest one, even though they were giant stadium shows, and that's what I think is so electric about the UK audience. It's like, right, it's not SummerSlam, it's not Mania, it's not Survivor Series, it's not one of the big four, but it doesn't matter. It's in the UK, it's at a stadium, it's gonna be
UK,
it's the second biggest show of the year.
It is.
That's so unique to the UK crowd. I think that's so cool.
I think it's UK to it's without a doubt unique to the history of this hasn't happened in how long? So, like it hasn't there hasn't been a UK pay-per-view since I've been alive, or a UK stadium show since I've been alive. I think you might have been when the first one happened.
I was technically alive, barely.
Yeah. So I mean, like,
let's guess our ages in the comments.
Yeah, if you want to go ahead.
Why not?
Yeah. I just think it is going to be the biggest point. And I was like, if you're going to go into that pay-per-view saying Roman is not your main event, unless you were doing Roman theory.
Gosh, I hope not, by the way. Like,
no,
you're scaring me here, Coby.
No, it's just like, I was just like, from a standpoint is, yes, they can probably do it without Brock. They cannot do it without Roman Reigns, because like, I mean, we've seen it before the whole Roman hiatus. That's what the WWE was. It's the Roman show.
No doubt.
The biggest star of the WWE is Roman Reigns.
By the way, only because we're only on match 3, I'm like, let's just bang it through and go straight to the Mysterio's Judgment Day. We got 2 straight 3-star matches.
Well, did you not have another question?
No, honestly, it's in the aftermath. We covered actually what I was going to try to feed you. Yeah. So we're dialed. Unless you had anything to add, by the way, I don't want to cut you there.
No, I mean, I was good.
Yeah,
I could have kept on going, but I think I don't need to continue.
Yeah, I'm just looking at time. I'm like, let's hit Mysterio's Judgment Day.
So Mysterio's Judgment Day. This is another
where it gets fun.
This is where Clark's gonna go off on me, and
I'm gonna let Coby introduce the match. Goes. I'm not gonna go off on him. I want to preface this by saying that I'm an Edge fan. I grew up an Edge fan. I've always liked Edge.
Mm-hmm.
I hated the return. It felt like it was the second straight SummerSlam they did the Brood thing. It was like, okay, we saw it. So they send him out there in a pair of Hot Wheels sunglasses with Rhea Ripley's haircut to the Brood music with the least brooding, brutish, brood-like group, the Mysterios, in the entire WWE. And like, I loved the vignettes. I loved all of that. I didn't understand why he needed to be inserted in the storyline. You had Judgment Day, who were supposed to be pretty monster, like dastardly, dark heels, and they just get squashed by the little guy and his kid, and Edge coming back in his Hot Wheel shades to the Brood music. And then the next night, it's like, oh yeah, the Rated R Superstar is back. It's like, what was Rated R about that? Like, it just felt super underwhelming and telegraphed, because Edge is so great. It's not that Edge didn't do a good job, and this, like, right, the entrance was cool. I mean, I make fun of the Hot Wheels shades just because the shades are ridiculous, but it's not like he botched anything. I just like wouldn't have written it that way if it was me. Like, it just wasn't. It was underwhelming and so obvious, and then it was like, yeah, I get it. Like, he's friends with Rim. They're former tag champs together. I get that. But like, you squashed Judgment Day to me, and then you brought back a rated PG-13 Edge. is what it felt like. And that's why I walked away like, okay. Of all of the ones, and I loved the rest of the show. I still liked the match. I was entertained. I would watch it, but it just was not what I was hoping for out of Edge.
No, and I think this was one, like, I guess to continue on that thing is like, I don't think I had a problem with it. And I think it was more of like, you look at the tag division as a whole, next to the Street Profits, the Mysterios is the only face tag team, unless you're going to use the Usos to elevate Mustafa Ali and Cedric Alexander, which they've been teaming up on Main Event. But I think one thing to kind of, to criticize is the handling of the match itself. This was billed as a no DQ match, yet it was
multiple rope breaks.
There were rope breaks. 2 guys are legal. Tags to do tags. Like, I think I don't want to say this is how they've done it in the past, but I don't know. I can't remember the last no DQ tag match they've done, and if that's been the way they've handled it. But it is like it kind of made it underwhelming. Like, I liked the sliding splash with the chair to the outside. I like Ray doing that, but I think ultimately as a no DQ match, aside from the main event last man standing match, you could have had a couple more spots or a couple more weapon usages, or however you want to call it.
Any kind of like just to make the gimmick more a part of the match outside of the outside interference. Outside of the outside of that was a difficult one, by the way. I almost stumbled over that. But outside of the outside interference, right? Like, there was nothing that made it feel like no DQ. And not only that, it didn't really feel like the feud was like a blood feud that needed to be settled in a no DQ. Not that the Dominic aspect, the family aspect, I get. But
I think the aspect of the no DQ was because the last 2 matches involved the Eddie Guerrero stuff. Like, oh, here's the chair. I'm gonna
the backstage. That makes sense.
A lot of it was built off of kind of you're messing with the psyche, like you're playing these mind games to the point where
you're doing like driving the wedge between father son. Right? Yes.
Well, it wasn't even just that. And I'm gonna say I lied. I do have one other critique, and that was when this whole the whole Edge interference and the Edge return happened. We did not prove me wrong, please. I did not see them care or point or like give Rhea Ripley's reaction. Like, they almost act like she wasn't even there.
You know, it was interesting. She did not. It did seem to be like it was 3-on-2. Like,
exactly.
It's like, that's a great call. Like, it did totally feel like, wait, where's Ripley? Because also she's gotten involved with the guys, right? We saw it on Raw a week ago Monday.
She's been fucking up.
Right? Like, you know, but it did feel weirdly like, oh, Edge actually gave them the numbers advantage, and I don't think that was the intention.
And I think that might have been something that you kind of like, because you were saying, oh, they gave them the numbers advantage, or they gave Edge helped them in that way. I think that might be one of the things that helped or gave you a problem with it.
But that I think that was what bugged me. It was like, but I didn't put the two together, that it was the fact that like Rhea was just not. It seemed like, okay, all of a sudden now the baby faces have the numbers advantage. It's like, okay. Like, that doesn't seem right.
Like, I mean, like I said, I'd love to be proven wrong. I haven't rewatched it.
No. I think you're right on that. That makes so much more sense.
They did the Edge thing, and I did not see Ripley after that.
By the way,
and I think that was weird, unless there's like additional footage to be released, like someone took her out, maybe
extra camera angle.
But exactly, nothing was done, and especially as someone as Edge built her up as the Eradicator. I think to a point of they're just not going to show her reaction to this, I guess, this storyline advancing position. I don't want to say it made her feel useless to be out there, but it did.
She just didn't seem to be a part of the segment or the match, right? Like in general.
Well,
like,
no, she did.
Not the
'cause she
whole
did-
match. No, but I mean
she
the
did
finish.
do
The finish.
Yeah, the
like
finish.
the portion.
Exactly.
She seemed to be a part of it until Edge came back.
Exactly.
And then it was like, oh, where like, oh no, now it's
that was
3-on-2.
me after the fact. I was like, wow, where's Rhea's reaction?
Yeah.
Like Rhea should be fuming. She should be pacing back and forth. She should be trying to get a chair and preparing them for Edge.
And I felt like
Or
there's such an
whatever's
opportunity since there was all the talk about the bringing back the Radar Superstar and like the old Ultimate Opportunity thing for him to really like come in and like Judgment Day is absolutely burying the Mysterios, and then all of a sudden Edge just pulls the rug out from under them, comes out of nowhere, Ultimate Opportunist, and screws them. I thought that would have been the way to do it. I think that it's twofold, right? It's the Rhea and the numbers game part of it, and then just it seemed like such an obvious, right? Like Edge made the Money in the Bank cash in. After the bloodiest Elimination Chamber match, right? Like Cena's covered in blood. Cena beat Carlito by roll up in the match before Edge cashed in. People forget, right? Carlito beat him by roll up in the Elimination Chamber. That was the final elimination. And then it was like, oh no, Edge lost a match that night, I believe, to Ric Flair, or was it Foley? Was it Flair or Foley that he lost to that night?
I think it was Flair.
It was Flair, wasn't it? Didn't he lose to Flair?
Last time I checked, it was Ric Flair.
Like,
I think it was IC. Was it an IC title?
I believe it was. Oh wait, is that
It was a title match.
That is not the night that Flair did the IC title celebration outside the limo on the backstage thing.
I don't know, but
don't look it up now, but later off air we'll talk about that, Coby. I forgot about that segment. Okay, so what about McAfee and Coby?
Coby?
Yeah, happy Corbs. Happy Corbs. Shout out Kansas City. Go Jayhawks. Yeah, what about McAfee and Corbin? Because I dug it personally, not to just jump your ship there, but I just figured like give you a sec. I dug it. I actually think, and this is not a knock on Pat McAfee, I'm a huge Pat McAfee fan. But I did not think it was his best outing compared to some of the other ones. I did not. It was good.
No, I mean, I at the same time, I almost think like Corbin looked better. Because I mean, like,
yeah.
I said it during the match. I'm like, I've never seen him do a drop kick.
I've kind of always thought
he did a shotgun drop kick.
He did do a shotgun kick,
and I was like, I know I've seen this guy post on Instagram him doing a flip.
Yeah,
but it's like this is Corbin. Not
he opened up the bag for sure for that one. Yeah,
yeah.
Like,
and I mean, I think ultimately the atmosphere was really good. The choir singing bum ass Corbin.
I love it.
That was just enjoyable.
It was just great. It was entertainment at its finest.
Yeah, so Ric Flair defeated Edge by DQ. But
okay, that's what it was that night?
Statement, yeah.
That's interesting.
Opening contest, yeah.
That's awesome, okay.
But yeah, like I don't think it was, like, at the same time, like, a part of the review, I did kind of say a lot of his stuff didn't look polished. But I think that's the appeal of Pat McAfee. Is Pat's this guy who's had this is his fourth, or I guess his fifth, because counting him and Vince, this is his fifth wrestling match, and he's at the point where it's like he's someone that he's in the Shane McMahon position. They can use him when they need him as a body that can entertain, but he's someone that isn't a wrestler, and I think that's the same appeal that Shane McMahon had. He did that shooting star press on AJ Styles
off the side of the stage against Steve Blackman. Shane McMahon's what makes me think of, right? Like the
kendo whack and
some that maybe no one else will do. Yeah, that's like to your point. Like
exactly,
it's just different.
I think that's the type of position that Pat McAfee is in.
I love that,
but I don't think this was his best showing. And I think even in the finish, like you can tell maybe they didn't practice this spot of the I guess the jumping sunset flip bomb or whatever. Yes. Like at the end of the day, I thought he was doing the Panama Sunrise, which he did to Cole. Or no doubt. He took to Cole. He took from Cole.
No doubt.
But I was like, there's no way you're actually going to get Corbin to do that.
Could not agree with you more.
In the long run.
Did you see the Broken Skull session about Bob Backlund asking with Kevin Nash? And Backlund asked Kevin Nash to do a sunset flip. And he goes back and Michael Hayes says, if you ever do a sunset flip again, Nash, you're fired. They had a match. If you watch Nash's Broken Skulls, it's great because it's just like when he said that, it reminded me like, yeah, like, dude, no, what are you doing? Mm-hmm. Backlund's like, yeah, sunset flip me. But okay, I'm sorry. No. By the way, we got what 15 minutes left here, Cobe? I was gonna say, let's go. We got 3 matches left to cover.
We said we got 15 minutes.
We got 15 minutes. We got an hour. We got 15 minutes. Let's do this.
We'll
got
finish when
Street
we finish.
Profits and the
finish
Usos.
When we finish. Street Profits and the Usos. 4-star.
Did you just hear that? We just got extra time. We got extra time.
Finish when we finish. Exactly.
No buzzer. I dig that. Okay. Here we go. We got Profits Usos.
Yeah, Profits Usos.
You want me to give the star rating?
Go ahead.
4.0 stars. Let me pass it to my boy Coby because I know you loved this match and you have awesome insight.
So yeah, I mean, I did enjoy this match. I think there was a good enough position of there were some new spots, new positions. I think the Jarrett involved. Like, I want to give props to Jeff Jarrett for giving one of the best pinfalls or pin near falls we've seen with him literally almost taking a bump himself.
Oh, it was actually to me, it was like one of the moments of the night.
Exactly. I think that's one of the best one of the best pinfalls we've seen.
Yeah.
But I do think this match struggled to what's the word? It struggled to live up to what happened at Money in the Bank.
What they did at Money in the Bank was so impressive. I agree with you, but I mean, that was going to be hard to live up to no matter what, right?
Exactly. Like Money in the Bank is one of the top 3 tag matches of the year. Alongside Briscoe's FTR1. And I mean, I'd even say Creed Brothers Pretty Deadly one, or Pretty Deadly in Your House is just as good in terms of tag team psychology. But I mean, that's
definitely
that's a conversation for another time. I think especially the atmosphere, the crowd were off the chart. They were electric in Money in the Bank. This, I don't want to say they had trouble getting them in the palm of their hands, but they kind of did. They had them there, but they didn't have a strong grasp. But I think the finish was really good with Montez on the outside of the ring, just barely just barely missing the breakup for it with the 1D.
Oh yeah, like he was. It's a little bit like when Foley used to do he would get pinned, but you could see his leg trying to kick, but the shoulders wouldn't get up. It felt a little bit like that dynamic, which I've always enjoyed.
Tag team setting.
In a tag team setting, yeah, where like he's so close to the breakup, like it's almost still going, but it's not. Yeah, I totally agree with you there. What's your opinion on the Raw follow-up? Not to cut you off there, but like that to me was intriguing. I mean, by the way, they didn't play no rock, paper, scissors. That was
yeah. So I think they are at least teasing the breakup. Or
gosh, I hope not.
The solo, yeah, I know it's gonna suck because they are probably one of the most versatile teams they have next to the New Day, because the New Day can work with anyone.
Yeah, well, the New Day can work with not just anyone. I almost want, like, this is funny and not to totally tangent this, but I would be curious to see if the New Day could be heels again. That would be so funny to see. I know, like, it makes no sense and there's no reason to ever do it, but I just think they're so talented. Like, to your point on they could work with anybody, I think they could somehow turn heel, and it would be like, only because of the amount, it would just open your eyes storytelling wise. It's like, wait, what? The New Days are the New Days heels again?
They started off as heels, and then
right. Well, it was the choir. It was the church choir, basically. Or I'm sorry, it
wasn't the church choir, but it was the choir, the New
preachers.
Day.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Preachers, yes.
Yeah.
It's a New Day, yes, it is, and then then they were always kind of doing the authorities' dirty work.
But I've just always,
I don't know if they can. I don't know. I want to see them do it.
I mean, if Daniel Bryan could after the Yes Movement, though, don't you think it's possible?
Oh, I'm not saying it's not possible, but I'm just saying I don't know, unless you're at the point of doing like them basically turning on one of the top faces. Like if you were doing like a Drew McIntyre versus Big E match, and then the New Day just beat the hell out of Drew McIntyre to help Big E win.
Yeah.
Like I don't know exactly what it would be, what it would take to turn the heel.
When this is even more hypothetical, like I guess to me now that we're on it, the only way I could think to do it would be if like you needed to do Kofi E. You could have like Kofi and Woods turn on E if he got back healthy, right? Like on Big E.
I mean, that's the thing. I think we're at the point where we don't even know if he'll wrestle again.
I know, and that makes me sad. I didn't want to dive down that
hole.
I
don't either. But
Monster shout out Big E. I'm a huge fan, dude. Rooting for you hard, and you're the man. By the way, just so you know, if you do happen to hear this, like God, dude, like nothing but the best for that dude. Like doesn't seem like a more genuine dude walking.
Course, and I think I mean, he also takes a lot of like his support. I don't want to say he takes him the opposite for granted. Like he truly loves his support from that he gets on like Twitter and all that,
which is even cooler.
It warms the heart to see this is one of one of the top guys, and it sucks his neck.
He's just a great guy, and it's just it's a
wonderful guy.
Okay, so by the way, not to also push us along, but you want to give us the not to bury the lead, but the worst match of the night. Coby, you want to?
Yeah,
you want to give us the?
We gave Liv and Ronda.
I love you, Liv. Sorry.
1.75 star. I mean, yes, there's the report of that they cut time from it, which I don't know how true it is or what the truth is to it.
Doesn't get you any stars back. I want to
say, yeah, exactly. It's not going to matter. This match was the worst match of the card, and I think it's just simply because of the presentation they gave Liv. Liv went in of like, yes, she knows she's not going to be able to kick Ronda's ass or be able to beat her in a way that Ronda could beat someone, but like they almost pushed themselves into that hole of we really need to present Liv as this true babyface that got her ass kicked and just snuck the victory in a smart way.
So tell me if you agree with this. They over underdogged her.
Yes.
Right?
That is
they over underdogged her. Right? Like they're trying to tell the underdog the ultimate, like you can't,
I think they called her. I can't remember what they called her in like weeks leading up to it.
I love Liv Morgan. I think she's unbelievable in ring, and
she's had such a year.
They presented her as such a non-threat to Ronda that she'd almost have to steal one. And to me, from a narrative standpoint, that sounds like a cowardly heel, not like a right. Like it shouldn't have been that she stole one. It should have been that she was so prepared and had so much heart she was able to pull it off. Yeah, and it came across as somebody that just outthought the brooding Ronda Rousey, who, and also to piggyback on that, Ronda Rousey's one of the greatest grapplers in the history of MMA, male or female, right? I mean, she ripped, 10 arms off, basically, and in half inside of the octagon during her career. And so you sit and you go, okay, and she gets rolled up like she gets held with her shoulders down. Yeah, she gets
at the
out
same
technique.
Time, the finish was Liv tapping at the same time of the count.
Right,
so
which just to me
it was a mess of a finish as a whole in general. Like I would have had the ref ring the bell. Ronda's like the ref ring the bell. Liv is tapping like crazy, and Ronda thinks she's winning. She won. But they did it that way, but the execution was not there.
Which is where I think the execution, but I don't want to knock the performers. I think the booking put them in a tough spot to execute, because I do think, number one, I think Ronda Rousey's, because of her MMA background and pre-fame, is underrated in ring. I do think bell to bell, she's better than people realize. Because she comes across as vicious as she really is. You know what I'm saying? And that's where I think that her value lies. Liv is, I mean, she's got enough charisma to carry the whole company, right? Like, you're hard pressed to find somebody that isn't invested in Liv Morgan, the person. If you watched the WWE Network Peacock documentary on her, like, and didn't like her, I don't know that you have a soul. Like, right? Like, that's hard for me to, I mean, she just is like, seems like one of the most genuine, good, root forable people in the world, right? And like, you know, we cliche of cliches, right? All wrestling, or the best wrestling has realism. And like, both Ronda and Liv have managed to embody that inside the WWE. And it was so weird that it felt like this match almost deviated away from like things that they had built for the two of them coming in, because the moment where Ronda hugged Liv when she cashed in and won the belt at Money in the Bank was so genuine and cool. I loved it. It was awesome. Not to say that it's fine to turn Ronda back to heel, or to turn Ronda heel, whatever you need to do there. But that was so wholesome and came across that way inside the context of the show in a way that this one just came across as like, what do we do other than this? Like, you know, just this is what we've got.
And I think this is where, like, we actually did not talk about this, and it happened at the very beginning of the show. Now, I guess right after the first match, like, I want to say SmackDown needs the bodies.
They do.
Like,
they need the wrestlers.
They have such a small, I don't want to say one-dimensional, but they have Ronda Rousey, Liv Morgan, Natalia, Shotzi, Aaliyah, Raquel, Lacey.
It's a solid roster.
They don't have as many people as you can kind of put in a position of they could have happened. I would have preferred a non-finish of Bailey, Dakota, and Io beating all of them. Just making that type of statement.
To your point too, like, I understand Ronda's suspension is right, kayfabe, like that is probably scheduled time off. But like, what do you do now? Right? Like, thank goodness they brought back Io and Kai, because at least, like, to your point, more bodies. Like, I mean, you gotta either bring somebody. There's got to be something, right?
There's got to be something for SmackDown.
Because if we get Natalia Liv now, all of a sudden I'll lose my mind. Like, that's no knock on Natalia. I love you, Natty Neidhart, but like,
it would not.
Just don't need it.
Based on the story, it would make sense, because she's kind of been in Liv's side, or been that thorn in Liv's boot for the past month. Which is what I'm afraid. That's why that's the reason I think it's almost at the point of we're just going to get woo.
That'll be fine. I'd be fine with that.
I'd be fine with Charlotte Liv any day, because I mean that you can make the call back to when that one SmackDown Council.
Charlotte's
where
definitely
Liv
now
kind of made herself the threat of Charlotte.
Yes. And Charlotte to me now is in that break glass territory, isn't she? A little.
We'll define that break
like
glass.
when in a break glass in case of emergency.
Oh yeah.
Like there's no one, like, call Charlotte.
Yeah, well, I think that's the Brock. Yeah, she's in.
Yeah,
she's
like the Brock effect, the old Taker effect, Shawn Michaels, right? There's been there's a list of names like that where it's like, we just go to that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The old reliable.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't like. Yeah, I don't know what to expect from it, and I guess this is I guess to piggy up on this, Triple H said that he wants to give a lot of, or he wants to give what the people almost want to see on the TV and all that.
Yeah.
I want to know, like, based on that opinion, and I think there's a genuine. We all can agree on this. Is Ronda is not good on the mic, and I don't want to say I don't want to be like, yes, I know she has that disability or that birth defect.
Okay,
but I want to say, do you think Triple H gives her a mic piece?
Thank goodness we did extra time, because you just opened up a can of worms for me. Because, first of all, let me start with this. I agree with you. On the microphone, she isn't that good. And it doesn't make sense, because there's an argument to be made that she was the greatest women's fight promoter in the history of mixed martial arts, and she did most of it on the microphone. I can't figure out the disconnect. She had rivalries with women she beat in 14 seconds that we looked at like pro wrestling rivalries when they happened. And then she gets in the WWE, and I understand I've watched enough of the content to, by the way, to be booked as your own name and then also be a heel and to have like that dynamic of, do they hate Ronda Rousey in the WWE or do they hate me? That would be awful. I wish that upon nobody. And she's an unbelievable performer and unbelievable athletic talent that I have nothing but respect for. But it's interesting to me on promos. It just seems in a way that she was such a good trash talker building him. I mean, her and Misha Tate is some of the best trash talk you've ever heard in leading into a UFC fight. It's riveting, and it's completely unscripted, and it's then you get her on a microphone to build a pro wrestling match, and it's like, no, don't, no, stop. I just don't. Yeah, it's just frustrating.
Like, well, I mean, even you like, we can see it on Friday. She made that. Like, I understand. Like, yeah, implementing the crowd's, I guess, reactions is a good thing. But I mean, she just came off as just, I don't want to say cringe, but it was somewhat cringe at that point. And I think if Triple H is being like, yeah, I want to give people what they say, I think he knows and knows deep inside that Ronda needs that mouthpiece. But at the same time, who do you think it could? Like, I guess this is more of this open-ended question.
So even more than that,
who do you think it could be?
So I'll give you my mouthpiece answer, but I'm going to say this too. I even think, because back to your point about the sounding cringe, I'm like, dude, I don't think it just sounded cringe. It sounded forced. Like, you know what I mean? Like, totally, like, it was so unnatural. And I'm not saying that she doesn't need a mouthpiece, right? I'm not saying she doesn't need a mouthpiece, but I think Triple H may, the way that he has the background with developing guys in NXT, be able to tap into like, look, you don't have a problem on the microphone. You have a problem on the microphone thinking about when you're on the microphone. You know what I'm saying? Like, if we can get you freed up and you can just go out there and do your thing, then now all of a sudden you're valuable. Now, I'm not saying that that's possible or what's going to happen. If we're going mouthpiece, how is it not Kurt Angle?
I mean, I guess that is definitely one of the things is like, I mean, I think everyone was like saying, okay, why are we not giving her Paul Heyman? But I don't think they're going to put her in the bloodline to do that. So here,
I agree on that too. And so wait, hear me out on this too, on my Kurt thing.
Okay, yeah, you can explain, Kurt.
Both Olympians.
Wow, yeah.
So, and both medalists. So now, by the way, you could even bring in Alpha Academy as lackeys and have 4 Olympians. The closest thing, I mean, by the way, they did Team Angle, put them in red, white, and blue, like Charlie Haas and Shelton Benjamin. No knock. Unbelievable amateur freestyle wrestlers. Not Olympians. You have 4 Olympians basically in the company as options. That isn't not, I'm not saying they need to be paired with Alpha Academy, but the Olympian aspect of it is interesting, don't you think? On the Kurt Angle part of it. I mean, also, it's not just that, like the fact that the fact that we had the Kurt tie to Riddle, right? So you already have that weird UFC MMA tie. You can kind of you could even bring Riddle into sort of a rivalry there as well, maybe as a part, not that he's an Olympian, but you have that tie. I don't know. I just do think that there's that. That's why I would lean towards Kurt over Heyman. You know?
Well, I think the main thing was like Paul Heyman's one of the best talkers there, and like without a doubt you can agree with that. And I never thought of Kurt Angle at that point in time, but I think the one kind of name that popped into my mind is I think this became a possibility when I saw him or them, I guess, pull him from Maximum Male Models for 1 week.
Right.
But I was saying LA Knight could work.
Oh, it's not a bad one at
LA
all.
Knight and Ron.
Mhm.
LA Knight would, if you're that hard set on keeping him as a mouthpiece, put LA Knight with Ronda.
Just pure talent wise, absolutely. I just don't know that she fits the model part of it.
Well, no, you would no, I meant like outside, like if he was staying out of the maximum male model thing,
right?
And they just kept Sophia Cromwell, Maxine Dupree,
right?
If they were going back to or changing his name to something or whatever, I think that would be the way to do it.
Wow, if it would be cool
if you were hard set on having him be that manager.
Oh, dude, to piggyback off that, I just had a great idea. This would be great. I think you'll love this too. You have him be like a kind of shady, like MMA / boxing promoter type guy. So like you still like the male models gimmick, right? He's like almost like a super extreme Dan Lambert, or right? Like he's like a total that by the way too could be. That's not bad right there. That would be interesting for sure, I think. What else was I going to ask you about the Ronda thing though? On the when do you think she's back when it comes to the suspension thing?
I don't know. I want to think, and it's a suspension unless you have someone as a manager basically do the whole, I've bailed her out, like Robert Stone did for Von Wagner on NXT.
Yes.
But I don't know if that's I don't know if that's the position you want to be in if you're gonna attempt to do Liv Ronda, I guess at this point 3 at Clash at the Castle. But at the same time, I think the better match would be Charlotte Liv for Clash at the Castle. So I don't know if she I assume she'll come back and feud with Liv.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that's something you want to do in terms of for Survivor Series. Or I guess in that
October, I don't know if that might be too far out, series. Right? That might have to be October.
Well, I'm just trying to think of the card. Clash at the Castle. I think it's Extreme Rules and Saudi. I don't know which is the order for that, but I mean that could be a Saudi match too.
Could be that too.
Yeah. Or I don't know, because that's the thing is I was almost at the point of if it almost looked like they were going to do an injury angle.
Although, do we really need to see Ronda Liv 3 in turtlenecks and long pants? Come on.
No, we don't.
To be honest,
we don't. But I think this is the one, and I think this is another, I guess, on the fly idea of when we were watching it. Is I was like, is this the way they take the title off Liv? Is have her have to relinquish it, and then we get Ronda heel versus face Charlotte?
Oh, I guess that's not a bad call. But do we really want Charlotte to get
that again?
I don't really want a face Charlotte ever again.
I mean, I don't know.
Not that I don't like Charlotte. I think she's an awesome heel. I think Ric Flair got to a point in his career where he can no longer be a babyface. I think she's kind of there.
Right.
Not that she couldn't, but I just not well.
Who else would you go against? If this is how you take the title off Liv, by having her just say, "Well, she broke my arm."
Well,
whatever,
now I'm about to open up another can of worms, and again, we're already way over time. And I'm about to say Sasha Banks, but that would be my answer. But I'm also a Banks fan, and that might be for episode 2, ladies and gentlemen, our Banks Naomi discussion. So, if you liked it thus far, or maybe you were on the fence and you were like, "I want to see what they think about Banks and Naomi," not today. Not today, my friend.
It's not happening.
Next time. I'm not even I won't speak on it. I won't nope. Won't even talk about it. In fact, I'm going to say Sasha Banks one more time. Just did it. And I'm not going to say her name again. Not one time the rest of the show.
Wonderful. And I won't either.
Perfect. We're dialed. That was a tease. You see that? Promotion, guys. That's it.
Yeah. So I guess to finish up our SummerSlam talk.
Yes.
Our main event is Brock Roman, Last Man Standing.
The main event of the evening.
That's right.
What do we got for the star rating. This is the key to the whole operation.
This was a 4.75, which people on Instagram were putting this at 5, but I think I actually do not remember what we put. I don't know if we got psychology
between
or
this and the opener too. Controversial,
yeah.
both 4.75s. Everybody's been hitting us up in the Instagram comments about it was 5, it was 4, it was 3, it was whatever. That's all good. The net of it is main event tied with the opener, 2 best matches of the night. This one though, Coby, stipulation, right?
Last man standing. And I think, like, I guess in terms of the watch along of the people that were there for us, is we were all on the fence. We were like, I think this was the point of like, this was slightly better than their Mania match. The stipulation of last man standing's not always done good, or there really isn't always that good of last man standing matches. I think the last one they did was Roman Kevin from the Rumble 21.
Yeah. Wait, that was the one with the botch where one.
That was the botch where
to the thing,
he was handcuffed
during the pandemic. That was
which they should. If the ref was the ref,
Goodness
they should have
gracious.
just. Yeah, they should have just.
It was over. Kevin Owens is the champ. 700 days down the tubes.
Yeah. Like I think we were all on the fence, and then they really picked it up in the second half. Like they really made this match. They really took this match from just another Roman Reigns Brock match to the best match they've ever had, as one that was carnage, completely stole the show. It's going to be talked about for years to come.
And by the way, when he says we do a watch party here at Wrestling Republic with a bunch of we get the big dog, Ben Allison, the man, the myth, the legend. We get good old Soul from the Soul Sessions has been in on a few of them. We've got Anthony Ricciardi, head of opinion, is always on. We got a solid crew. Chaos, you're invited, by the way, if you're listening. It's a solid, and then us two idiots. And then sorry, I'm me, the idiot, and then Coby. And so basically, like, we watch all the pay-per-views together, and then me and Coby will be reviewing and discussing it all throughout. And I've never in my life, now I've seen arena pops that are crazy, and I've seen them in person. I've seen them over the TV. It's all good. I've never seen 4 people in 4 different countries over Zoom pop at the same time the way I did when the ring got lifted. Actually, it was 5 people, 4 different countries, because me and Ricciardi are both in the US. But either way, when the ring tipped over, we all became children again. It was the moment of the night. It captured the whole night. It was the reminder why you watch. I didn't see that coming. I didn't expect that. It was everything you could possibly ask for in the main event of a card that's supposed to be a premier show. There's nothing beyond that spot. They could have had a worse match, and I still would have enjoyed it nearly as much as I did, because that was back to being kids again. That was Mick Foley off the top of the cell. It was Jeff Hardy off the top of the 20-foot ladder. It was Bubba Ray Dudley through 4 tables, right? It was Shane O'Mac off the side of the stage. It was that type of moment. And it was something that you just don't see that often. Now, that's not to say that's the reason it got 4.75 stars. It's not. It helped. It helped. But they did put on one heck of a war outside of that spot as well. And that's not to say that it would have been 4.75 had it not been for that spot, because it wouldn't have. We both agree on that. For sure, right? But yeah. I mean, from the theory, once again, taking the F5 face first on the briefcase, I don't understand how they have figured out the angles to get that spot so down. He's been F5'd onto, I mean, I can't remember Brock Lesnar F5'ing anybody onto something besides a chair with Big Show ever, and he lands on that briefcase every single time, tummy first, like it's no big deal. That spot was incredible. I didn't necessarily love the finish, to be totally honest, but by that time, it didn't matter. It didn't matter.
No.
It was too late. Didn't matter.
We were on. Yeah, they like the whole second half of the match did take us to that point of we were on the edge of our seats watching the rest of it. And I mean, looking back at it now, yeah, they probably did too many false finishes with a spear, belt shot, a chair shot, another belt shot, the briefcase. Like I do want to say it was slightly overused looking back at it, but I think at the end of the day, we were on the edge of our seats, and that's what made the match really good.
Not much more you can ask for.
And I guess to continue the discussion on putting myself over,
that was a joke.
But I am going to. Roman Reigns entered first, and we were thinking.
What does that mean?
Huh?
B-side. He was the B-side.
Yeah. Roman was the
promotionally.
B-side.
Roman was the B-side.
Mm-hmm. But I think at the same time I asked, or I thought of it. I was like, does he actually have the tractor? And he did. So that's I'm putting myself over with this.
Oh, by the way,
he had the tractor.
That. Honestly, you should have told me to do this for you. No. He didn't even put himself over enough. Let me put you over, because to be totally honest, he called Brock's gonna have a tractor and use it before he made the walk during Roman Reigns' entrance. So that, my friends, that's some wizardry, right? That's some foresight. Some people would call it a psychic. Some people would call it psycho. That's not the point. I'm kidding. No, but he was spot on. Like, that was one of the best calls of the night. It was actually pretty remarkable too. He did not say though that it would be the ring that got tipped over, and that's why we freaked out like children. But that's not the point. You did nail that call. So what I was gonna say is, total show. Did you have any last insight on where did you have the total rating on the show? Let's go personal. Let's not even look at the official Wrestling Republic rating. Where'd you have it out of 5 gut feeling?
I think if I'm talking about the gut, I would have had it 4 out of 5, 4.25. It was really the highs were really there, and the only problem I had with it was the Liv Ronda match, which from a storytelling standpoint, it was decent. But at the same time, the execution was not good. But I think from, if you're talking the structure, the matches that we wanted to delivered. The atmosphere was phenomenal. The production and theme of the show was, of course, going to be great. Because
I was out saying SummerSlam, right?
The biggest party of the summer, of course.
Absolutely.
But I would have had 4.25. And I think that is what we did have.
I hate to be that guy just to jump in and do I had it the same. I wish I could do I had it low, or I had it high.
You should have just said ditto.
It's like I got ditto, guys. The double down there. It's that wasn't a theory thing, by the way. Don't think that. I had it in the 4 to 4.25 range. You can't ask for much more. It's Triple H's first show. I know. I think the layers and the fluff involved in that may have been beneficial in building a little bit more hype around it, unintentionally. Not that made the show come across better than it really was, but I did feel particularly excited for the show just to see if it would be different or what would happen. And they still delivered. To me, that was the most impressive part.
Yeah.
All right, dude. We covered it. Yeah, well, let's do this. First of all, thank you, everybody, for having us. Wrestling Republic. Follow if you don't already. Go on the website right away. Go on the Wrestling Republic YouTube. Follow that. Go on Instagram. Follow that. Then, Real Clark Taylor. That's my tag. If you want to follow me, that'd be really cool, but you don't have to. It's all good. I don't really care. And then, Coby, what's your Instagram?
It's it's Coby.Galenzoski.
Yeah, give my esteemed colleague Coby.Galenzoski a call if you're a follow. If you want to throw us some freaking messages or comments or whatever for next time, please let us know. And honestly, if you really want to hate on us, I might even take your advice if it's halfway decent. If it's not, though, then I'll probably make fun of you. And so other than that, though, I think that's it, right? Republic Ramble episode 1, just like the Phantom Menace, we did pretty good, I think, episode 1 wise. And thanks for having us, guys. That's Clark Taylor signing off. Coby, you sign us off, and then let's turn it off.
Yeah.
I'm throwing the headphones down.
So yeah, go ahead. For more wrestling news, rumors, debates, and opinions, please make sure to check out WrestlingRepublic.com, along with at Wrestling Republic on Instagram, YouTube, Wrestling Republic on Twitter. My Twitter is CM Galenzoski WR. There'll be links in the description for the majority of the social medias. And thanks for watching if you made it this far.